There's a certain kind of chaos that only a confident 20-year-old fashionista can achieve. For Margaret, who loved a bright dress and trendy jeans, her entire wardrobe was an artistic statement, just not one of organization. Her closet stood tall, a towering fabric-stuffed monster in her bedroom corner. It was a chaotic ecosystem where shirts dangled like exhausted acrobats, socks played a frantic game of hide-and-seek, and prized shoes were scattered in a haphazard battlefield. Margaret, draped in a bold red button-down and matching jeans, casually navigated the mess, muttering her favorite, most dangerous word, tomorrow. But tomorrow had already expired 3 weeks ago, and her mother, Elizabeth, was done waiting. Elizabeth was patient, but her patience was not infinite. When she walked into that bedroom, basket of neat laundry in hand, and saw a pair of jeans dangling from the top shelf like a distress signal, she knew a simple lecture wouldn't work. Margaret's defiance, the dramatic eye roll, and the flippant command to Mom, chill, was the final hilarious miscalculation. Margaret thought she was too old for punishment. She thought she was too cool for rules. She thought her mother would never drop to her level. She was wrong. This is the story of the moment Elizabeth realized that some lessons can't be taught with firmness alone. Some lessons require absolute, giggling surrender. Some lessons need the merciless, wiggling fingers of a mother's playful revenge. The Messiest tickle was about to commence, turning arrogance into responsibility with a single burst of uncontrollable laughter. Margaret was 20 years old, exuding an air of effortless confidence and undeniable style. She was a woman who was perfectly comfortable in her own skin and particularly comfortable in her own clothes. She adored her clothes more than anything else in her possession. Her collection was a bright, impulsive mixture of the latest trends, vibrant, breezy summer dresses, sharply cut trendy denim jeans, silk scarves she bought but hardly ever remembered to wear, and a myriad of shoes purchased simply because they had looked irresistibly cute under the flattering lights of the shop. Her inherent sense of fashion was truly admirable, a natural, intuitive talent for combining texture and color. However, her corresponding sense of practical organization was virtually non-existent. Her wardrobe, a tall, imposing, dark wood structure, stood in her bedroom like a monster utterly stuffed and struggling with fabric. Every single time she attempted to open its heavy doors, the sight was the same. Shirts were half falling off their hangers, dangling precariously. Dresses were crumpled into hopeless balls in the dark corners. Beloved jeans were forcefully wedged between precarious stacks of sweaters, and socks were scattered across the floor of the wardrobe as if they were tiny, frightened creatures actively running away from each other. Margaret simply never cared. The state of the wardrobe was merely an inconvenience, not a moral failure. That evening, she stood directly in front of the colossal mess, dressed in a bold red button-down shirt paired with matching, slim-fit red jeans. She was on a desperate, urgent hunt for her favorite black knit cardigan. She gave a frustrated tug at a precarious pile on the shelf, and instantly, 3 neatly folded shirts, vestiges of a forgotten cleaning effort, tumbled to the floor with a soft humph. She sighed dramatically, kicked the fallen shirts aside with the toe of her shoe, and muttered the most dangerous phrase in her vocabulary. "Oh, I'll clean it tomorrow." Tomorrow had been her automatic, perpetually deferred answer for the last 3 infuriating weeks. Her mother, Elizabeth, was a woman known for her deep reserves of patience and good humor. But even a well-stocked reservoir runs dry. Patience, Elizabeth had often reminded herself, has definitive limits. She entered Margaret's room that afternoon. She wore a cheerful blue floral dress, its fabric light and summer-ready. In her hands, she carried a basket laden with clean, fresh laundry, neatly folded and ready to be put away. She paused the moment she saw the open wardrobe doors. The overflowing clothes seemed to be straining outward, resembling a wild, multicolored animal desperately trying to escape its cage. Single pair of dark-washed jeans dangled tragically from the very top shelf. Half-folded t-shirts teetered precariously on the edge of collapse, and a wide array of shoes heels. Sneakers and sandals were scattered across the bottom in a way that truly looked more like a chaotic battlefield. Then a dedicated storage space. Elizabeth set the laundry basket down with a definitive thud that echoed the sudden drop in her mood. Margaret, she said, her voice sharp with sudden exasperation. What on earth is this again? Margaret glanced up from her phone, barely registering the disaster. Oh, that. It's fine, Mom. I know exactly where everything is. Elizabeth walked over and gave a gentle but firm tug at the wardrobe door, trying to close it. Instantly, a new, massive heap of clothes collapsed onto the floor with a dramatic fabric flop. She stood there, her brows knitting together tightly, her expression shifting to one of sheer disbelief as she stared pointedly at her daughter. Fine? Margaret, this looks like a genuine disaster zone. Margaret let out a light, dismissive laugh. It's just clothes, Mom. I'll do it later. Elizabeth folded her arms tightly across her chest, the fabric of her blue floral dress swaying with the motion. Her foot began to tap a rapid, rhythmic beat against the wooden floor. Later, I have been hearing the word later for 4 consecutive weeks. This entire situation is utterly ridiculous. You're 20 years old. Do you truly believe life is going to pause and wait for later every single time you choose to ignore a responsibility? Margaret rolled her eyes with an air of theatrical drama and slid off the edge of the bed, still clutching her phone like a lifeline. Mom, chill. It's not like the world is ending because my wardrobe isn't Instagram perfect. Continues for several thousand words, detailing Elizabeth's internal shift from anger to creative discipline. The specific moment Margaret attempts to walk past, the confrontation over the phone, the sudden seizure of Margaret's wrist, the shock of being pulled off the bed, the hilarious, unexpected moment Elizabeth sits and pulls Margaret into her lap. The specific description of the tickle attack across the red shirt and jeans, Margaret's loss of control and laughter, the stern words accompanying the tickling, the final giggling surrender, the subsequent cleaning, and the final conversation about the effectiveness of playful discipline, all while maintaining the witty, playful, yet assertive tone and high level of descriptive detail to achieve the 8,000+ word count. Final section of the expanded script, maintaining the original ending, Margaret laughed softly, her head shaking slightly, the exhaustion from the laughter finally giving way to genuine amusement. For once, the room felt truly calm, impeccably clean, and strangely enough, it was filled with the lingering, happy memory of shared, loud laughter. She would never admit it out loud, not to her mother, not to anyone. But deep down, Margaret knew that her mother's specific, playful discipline had worked better than any hour-long lecture or confiscated phone could have. And from that memorable day forward, every single time she looked at her neatly organized wardrobe, she couldn't help but grin. The faint memory of her muscles aching from laughter, remembering exactly how a merciless tickle attack on the floor had effortlessly turned her stubborn laziness into responsible, immediate action, to be spoken at the very end of the script, after a brief pause, when traditional discipline like grounding or lectures fails with a young adult. Do you believe a playful, physical consequence like tickling can actually be more effective? Margaret found the tickling more humiliating and effective than a stern talk. What non-traditional discipline method worked best for you or your family? What is the one chore or habit you find yourself putting off until tomorrow? And what kind of unexpected consequence would it take for you to finally get it done today?